The new year, the Wichita City Council changed the city's campaign finance rules that prevented corporations or LLCs from donating to local political campaigns. That was under Mayor Brandon Whipple. Today, though, the council reversed those rules.
New at 6, 12 News reporter Brock Wilson has more on what this means for future elections in Wichita.
On January 16th, the Wichita City Council introduced an ordinance that would reverse the city's campaign finance rules and allow LLCs and corporations to donate to political candidates.
State law caps the amount of contributions that may be made at $500 for a primary, $500 as well for general elections, again with some exceptions.
But the council has been met with plenty of opposition.
Corporations are not people. Businesses cannot vote.
What disturbs me about campaign reform and allowing LLCs and corporations to contribute is all of a sudden money starts to influence the elections.
Despite the comments, the city council reversed the rules, but added an amendment requiring a principal owner of a corporation to be listed with the donation. It's not what everyone wanted, but Wichita residents and city council members agree. This will create more transparency.
I would prefer to see the ban had stayed in place, but as a compromise, I think knowing who the principal owners are of the LLCs is at least some transparency.
The product that we have today is an improvement over where we were 3 months ago. I still think we were in a better situation 2 weeks ago than we are now.
There was initially a split vote on the ordinance, and it appeared it would pass without the amendment requiring a company owner to be listed with donations. But once the amendment was added, the ordinance passed unanimously. In Wichita, Brock Wilson, 12 News.